creatures and gods around. Beware, prepare, it's dangerous. They'll linger in the dark. Climb from below. Temples and tombs will fall down. Explore the realms. What is meant to be, take it all. Obey, hear the voice of God. And the best come to your sacred land. Make way to the afterlife. What was once your palace, now your grave. Awaken your soul. Dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies. Across the vast wild desert. Move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and sharpen up your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny and the magic and the omen of the mind.
Hey, to have peace, yes, Lord, there must be strife. I already see the end of life. I accepted death, my eyes are open. I read and told them there's a light. Eternal life awaits me, yes. No one can dare deny me. I'll gladly give my life. All my people in my kingdom point the way. That's a small price to pay. To God to pray every day. To the promised land, I understand the higher the highest height. And the lower the lowest depths. I'm not afraid of my last breath. Life is nothing but a test. May the gods only know what's next.
Alarms, hear the voice of God, and the best come to your sacred land. Make way to the afterlife. What was once your palace, now your grave. Awaken your soul. Dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies. Across the vast wild desert. Move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and sharpen up your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the magic and the omen of the mind.
My eyes are open, eternal morning. The crown is golden, I have been chosen. My eyes are open, eternal morning. The crown is golden, I have been chosen.
Awaken your soul. Dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies. Across the vast wild desert. Move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and sharpen up your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the magic and the omen of the mind. Wake up, sundown, creatures and gods around. Beware, prepare, it's dangerous. They'll linger in the dark. Climb from below. Temples and tombs will fall down. Explore the realms. What is meant to be, take it all. Obey, hear the voice of God, and the best come to your sacred land. Make way to the afterlife. What was once your palace, now your grave. Awaken your soul. Dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies. Across the vast wild desert. Move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and sharpen up your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the magic and the omen of the mind.
Hey, to have peace, yes, Lord, there must be strife. I already see the end of life. I accepted death, my eyes are open. I read and told them there's a light. Eternal life awaits me, yes. No one can dare deny me. I'll gladly give my life. All my people in my kingdom point the way. That's a small price to pay. To God to pray every day. To the promised land, I understand the higher the highest height. And the lower the lowest depths. I'm not afraid of my last breath. Life is nothing.
What is going on, Governors? Chiscool here, and today I'm joined by Plato Gaming. to cast Ark of Osiris Grand Finals. Plato, how are you, my friend?
What's going on, Cisco? Thanks for having me, and hello, governors. Yeah, this should be a very, very interesting and exciting game in 93T versus 489. The thing that I love about Grand Finals is that it is an even playing field between both teams, and we'll be able to see the best strategies between the two of them.
That's exactly right. In this game mode, unlike all the others for Ark of Osiris League, you actually are put into a special environment where you're playing with maxed commanders, all of them. There's no equipment, however. There's no armaments. It's just you and your skill with an equal amount of troops and commanders as every other player. So this format is really cool because it takes the champions of every single realm for Ark of Osiris and it pits them against each other. So I'll show you in game very briefly here. We've got the champions of each realm. So at the same time that we'll be casting the 93T versus 489, that's 2489 matchup, at the same time, 75 DC will be battling against 60 GT. So the winners of every single realm battle against each other in the semifinals, and then there's a final to determine who really is the best of the best. Now, I think this matchup's going to be pretty exciting, and I also think there's a lot of exciting stuff going on outside of these matchups for Ark of Osiris right now. We know that both 93 and 1960 are fighting in KVK, so they've really had a lot going on, you know, right? Like, Plato, wouldn't you normally have some time to, you know, do a bunch of practice matches with your team and kind of prepare? You know, you take steps to be ready. But I don't think they've had time for that, have they?
Yeah, most definitely, especially for 1093 having that Kingsland fight against 1365, which were their finals opponents in their finals for their realm. So it's kind of like they had a rematch in KVK where JST and 1365 were able to kind of kick them out of Kingsland, and we'll have to see what goes on for the rest of that KVK. But yeah, it's really interesting because 1093 and 1960 or 93T and 60 GT, you would see them as the favorites. You'd see them as, you know, they're the older realm. The gauntlet that they went through, you could say, was harder than 489 and 785 DC. And they're like older, experienced teams, names that we know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as you said, they haven't had practice. They've been busy in KVK. So we'll have to see if that will even the playing field. And since this is such a strategy-driven tournament here, a strategy-driven game, because you can't outstat someone, everyone's has this even playing field. I think it'll be really interesting, especially with the Fog, Raging Sands. This is the first Osiris League Grand Finals where everything is even, and we have Fog, we have master strategies, all these different things that can actually turn the tide. We'll have to see. 489, 75 DC, they could do something here.
This does bring us to a couple things. First of all, you mentioned the Master Strategist skill, which, by the way, is, I think, the MVP of Ark of Osiris League, hands down. The best skill that has been deployed, game after game. So it turns out that Master Strategist, which lets you teleport a bunch of troops from one location to another, but you can only do it once per game, and it gives you a big damage boost after you teleport. I think it's a total of 30 marches that can go. That one ability has won more games, I think, than any other. And I would give it more credit even as a tide turner than to the death from the mid-fight. I mean, you can literally think you're safe with the Ark, and next thing you know, the Ark has been stolen, it's running away from you, and the match is spiraling out of control. And that is how a number of teams were either eliminated or almost eliminated on their way to this position, the Grand Finals.
Yeah, and I feel like the whole master strategies skill, there's been so many applications, but there's so much more exploration that can be done. For example, the classic Drago, take the Ark and teleport it out strat that we haven't really seen used in a close game, but who knows, maybe that could be happening here.
Yeah, I think it was 93 that tried it, and they almost had it, but they were off by like 10 or 20 seconds from sort of pulling it off. And the timing of that's really tricky because I think it takes a not insignificant amount of time to actually sort of ramp up that ability, if that makes sense. Like, it's not just like, oh, click the button, instantly all the troops teleport.
Yeah.
I think it's like a solid 10 seconds of animation and prep for that happening. Now, I'm jumping into the matchup, by the way, and for those wondering, the stream is on a very long delay. We're on a 12-minute delay to maintain the competitive integrity. So we'll have complete vision of literally everything that's happening. But in order to maintain that competitive integrity, the stream is on a delay. And I think that is very, very important to both call out for those of you that are in the chat, and also to remember that we will get to see everything. And I'll flip back and forth between here's what one alliance sees and here's what another alliance sees. Because as you pointed out, the fog is absolutely massive. So let me jump now into the matchup and let's get a peek. Here we go. We're ready to cast the matchup. If we look in the upper left, we have 93T in blue. And in red, we have 489. Now, you'll notice their name here is 89-N, 89CG, 89VC, 89NR. I'm pretty sure these folks teamed up, all of the best players from their kingdom, in order to make a super team. Is that possible?
I actually think those are all of the other all of the other alliances rather that were in the Osiris League bracket, because 2489 is such a strong kingdom. They had 4 alliances actually within the top 16.
Had that ever happened before? 4 alliances in the top 16? I don't know that it has. Like 3 alliances I can recall having happened a couple times. But 4? That seems pretty novel to me. So I think that people, when they look at this matchup and we saw the distribution of the sort of player bets for who they think is going to win, well, people thought that it was 93T by a not insignificant margin. But I think it'd be a pretty big mistake to underestimate the folks in red here from 489. I think that will be a tragic error. What do you think will be the defining moment of this matchup, Plato? What will be do you think will be the play where we're like, wow, I can't believe that just happened?
I think there's going to be a very interesting mid-fight between both teams. 489, there are a lot of players from Blackjack, a very familiar alliance. And we'll have to see what happens in these mid-fights, as, 93T, their matches have been determined by the last couple of mid-fights as well against JST. So
here we go. Match begins. Now we find out. Hidden Sentry down. Where did it go? Aha. Okay, team in red. Oh, see, this is why we're on a fat delay, because I think they're going to make an obelisk push. What do you think of that, Plato, based on that sentry?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they could see. There's also another sentry placed by blue team. This is the more normal sentry placement behind
this is very conservative, yeah.
Yeah, behind the pyramid here. But yeah, they could see the obelisk. They could also see the amount of marches going to Sky Altar, because you already know there's going to be marches going to Desert Altar. You could kind of predict that. But this could indicate either an obelisk push or maybe even an early Sky Altar push to drag out the troops to this outer lane, kind of make the timing awkward for 93T if they do capture the Sky Altar, and maybe use that into mid pressure.
Can I express a moment of concern? Look at the number of marches in red going, oh, maybe some of them are breaking off and going to the left now. Okay, it looked like all these marches were filtering up and to the right, but I see now some of them are going to curve around these ruins and go to the left. I thought that 2489 was fully committing to the right side of the map, and you can see a far more even distribution of players for blue. I mean, vastly more even. By the way, 5 rallies on their way out, so they are... Oh, more rallies. Wow, look at that. So they're going for all the obelisks and also all the outposts at the start of the game to go and rally them. And presumably that's the outposts on the opposing side of the map that they're trying to rally. Meanwhile, we do see some obelisk rallies have made their way out for both sides here, which is good to see. Also, where's this slower rally going? We got some archers. A little bit late out of the gate
Interesting.
compared to 93. It really was quite a beautiful formation for 93 coming out of their gates when you were zoomed out. I mean, the symmetry of, all the rallies going in all the different directions was quite impressive. And even still, you've got a sort of triple rally formation going through the middle here. Very exciting to see this.
Yeah, it's funny to see. They're kind of like in a V, like backwards V formation. These rallies going to this to the outposts here.
Yeah, sir. I was in KVK with the Ducks, and I've been flashing the Mighty Ducks animation on my screen throughout my streams. They've got a reverse flying V on their way downfield, that's for sure.
I'm very interested to see all of these archer rallies, because usually you rally with infantry because it's the slowest troop type and you just want to bring it up there. You rally with cavalry so that you can, pressure the outpost the obelisk as fast as possible. But archers is kind of that middle child where you don't really see these early archer rallies. So it's really interesting to see 93T opt into double archer rallies into the opponent's obelisks here. I'm curious to see if they're actually going to break off or what the plan is.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little unusual. It's not something we see all the time. We do see both teams having roughly equal posture around structures here, although, wow. Okay. 2489 is engaging early and very aggressively against 93T. I'm surprised they didn't wait for the rest of their ball and then engage, but instead they just kind of went for it, which I'm sure they know what they're doing, but I would have kind of anticipated that they wait, collect, move together, as opposed to taking the slightly outnumbered fight and then letting your players trickle in. Eager to see how this goes. Also, obelisk up top, flashing. I don't know if that's significant. No, it's a rally, and it looks like it's dealt with.
I like what 93T did there. They swarmed it down until they knew the obelisk was safe, and then they just left it, delaying the marches going back in this rally. So then they have less time to refresh. It does look like the two archer rallies did hit the obelisk, but 489 having one player each obelisk dedicated to swarming that down. So yeah, it looks like all the obelisks are going to be safe for this matchup, and it'll be a straight up front to back matchup instead of someone taking an obelisk early here.
So let me ask this question as we watch these fights unfold and start to stabilize. 2489 establishing their presence for sure at the desert obelisk, and in the north looks like it's a bit more of a mix-up, actually. 2489 has a pretty good hold on this position.
Yeah, I guess the early push was good.
What do you think will be the significance of... Oh, wait. Bottom obelisk flipped.
Wow.
This is really big.
Yeah, the garrison captain refreshed without anyone inside it. Not seeing the marches, they actually broke the rally. 93T, instead of letting it go down to sad face, actually broke their rally, started moving around their marches so that they could block TP spots here. But it actually, 4089, the rally lead was the garrison lead rather was okay, I could get out, refresh. But they're actually able to take this obelisk and delay some TP spots. And these early TPs, Chiskel, are so huge. Are so huge because it delays the teleports for this bottom lane, meaning that you can contest first capture more easily. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see if 93T gets an advantage here with a minute delay-ish on these teleports.
Yeah. While 2489's capture of the Desert Altar is very impressive, the loss of their obelisk is going to be meaningful. And also, I think the loss of their outposts has caught them a little off guard. They are sending some troops to go deal with that, but I don't think they were ready to have all these points per minute flip over. And I also think it's entirely possible that the first occupation had not yet flipped for them in red. And so 93T may get first occupation on these as well, a not insignificant amount of points.
Yeah, I actually think, I don't think they did get first occupation. So it's going to be it's really interesting, Chiskel, the strategy about outposts. How much troops do you dedicate to outposts? How important are they? It really varies from team to team. But 93T, the victors of the realm of Horus, which is, people say is the hardest realm, the oldest realm, going full out on Outpost, I think there is some merit to the strategy here. Just getting the free points and trying to get these first capture points, I think. And it's probably going to pay off in dividends. If they win by a slim margin, it might be because of that early Outpost push.
Oh, gosh. Can you imagine that being the reason? Can you imagine? Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is single elimination for this portion of the tournament. So there's no room for error, truly. There's no room to sort of, oh no, again.
Wow, how are they capturing these obelisks? What is going on? Sky Altar also down for them.
Just a huge under-indexing on the significance of the defense of their obelisks. This is going to cost 2489 a coordination penalty, both in terms of the speed with which they are getting their teleports, and also, I mean, when they move up. This is big.
I also underestimated the delay, Chisco, because there's 2 minutes. It's like there's 2 minutes for the obelisk to capture. So it's however long you hold the obelisk plus 2 minutes. So they're it's like 2 minutes 30 over there of a delay on this obelisk for what seemed like 1 to 2 marches. It's such a huge benefit for 39T here. I mean, 93T rather.
Yes. This really does benefit 93T to be taking those obelisks and disrupting that flow of teleports into the front. We do see there is one teleport available for the team in red, so they do have one more they can take advantage of in the short term. That's represented up at the top of the screen. You can hold up to 20 teleports at one time. Of course, I don't know why you would hold that many. The goal is to use them as fast as you can. Now, once upon a time in Ark of Osiris, you couldn't teleport while your troops were out of your city.
I remember that.
Yeah. It added quite an element of coordination to when the teleports would become available and where your troops were going to be on the map to take advantage of it. 93T doing a really good job sort of hitting back after the initial opening and taking all 4 altars. That is devastating.
All 4 altars. They're at mid with more presence. It seems like they're everywhere, Jisco. Winning in the structure game and winning in the mid positioning here. So we'll have to see how 489 come back from this.
So before the insane grab of sort of both of those obelisks, I was starting to steer us in the direction of talking about the implications of there being no accessories and no equipment in these matchups. What do you think the significance is of the no equipment situation for this match? I think... go ahead.
Oh, it's all about strategy. It's all about consistent pressure. Because you could say that in normal Ark of Osiris and Osiris League, yes, there is a pressure element, but sometimes if you have enough of a difference between your opponent, you can brute force things. But this, you really, really have to be on your A game with timings, with how much pressure, with where you put your marches. So it's all about placement. It's all about knowing the map and playing with information rather than just brute forcing things. And 93T, they're known for their war strategy. 1093 known as for their war strategy. So I guess it's paying dividends. They were able to, as you can see by the points, I think they're able to take more first occupations from 489. They're able to take the outposts. They're able to delay the obelisks with 1 march. So just those little micro things stack up over time because everything's so even.
Yeah. I'll add to that it also opens up a lot more combinations. Like, you may not have crit leadership equipment on your main account, but here, I mean, anyone can bring a garrison, right? They've all got the commanders, and there is no equipment. Here we go.
And
there's the mid fight. I believe it was Total Vision and Dust Up for both sides.
It's Total Vision and Dust Up, and then it was Total Vision and Heaven's Grace, actually, for 489 here.
I don't know what I think the better combination of skills is, although Heaven's Grace is very good. Here we go.
Throughout Osiris League, we've been seeing the Total Vision dust up, but it looks like, wow, sad face train from 93T in this mid fight.
Oh, wow.
Maybe this is where 489 actually starts to come back. But as we saw from that JST match, Chisco, 93T so good at just getting that first pull in arc, which really dictates, the pace of this arc, this mid fight. Pulling it just a little bit. If it was a closer mid fight, Chisco, maybe they would have been able to pull it off. But 489 just sad facing every march from 93T.
I feel like if there's one alliance in the game you need to fear taking the arc even after you've won it, it's 93 that you need to fear. So, I mean...
wait, they're going to pull it again. They pulled it again. There's so many people from 489, one march from 93T, and they're still able to delay the arc by another 10 seconds. I don't know how they're able to do this so frequently, Chisco.
I really think that they just kind of like spend some number of hours in practice matches picking up the arc. I really do.
They have to, but yeah.
Oh no.
It's not going to be too consequential. 30-second delay, but
look at this arc carrier. Why is he so alone? I feel alone for them. Poor Joan.
And they do have a sentry on this arc, so they know it's empty.
No. Well, it was nice knowing you, 2489. You leave this carrier alone? Okay, good. So two people are like, wait, hold on. Maybe we should guard this carrier because...
Maybe we should, just a little escort.
I mean, if there's a single kingdom in the game you need to be the most afraid of in this situation, it's 93 at this point. They've established that reputation as the most dangerous after you've won the arc. This is when they strike. The whole arc battle, that's just a little teaser. It's an appetizer. It's not the main fight for 93T. For 93T, the main fight happens 20 to 30 seconds from now when they actually take this arc. How they're going to do that? Well, looks like the plan's already forming up. They're swinging around the canyon. This is happening.
Oh, here you go.
This is happening. I mean, and the funny thing is that this is so predictable, and it's easy for us to sit back as casters and be like, yeah, this is happening 100%. I 100% guarantee that 93 is going to go for this because we've seen them do it match after match after match that we've cast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really think 2489 is not ready for what's about to happen. Oh, they're coming from both sides.
They actually didn't see they didn't see the bottom lane. They just saw a couple marches, but because 93T was also pressuring the Desert Altar, there weren't that many people. Like they were so focused on the Desert Altar that they didn't see the stream of troops. Now they're seeing them as marches come in.
93T does this every game.
Oh my goodness!
It's not a question of if it's happening. You know what's going to happen, and here we are.
They have control of the arc again, Chisco.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wait. So what's the plan? What do you think, Chisco? 93T. Where do you take this? They're taking it back.
Back through the middle. They go right back through the middle. They got reinforcements coming through the middle.
They're
because
like,
this was their plan all along. This is what they planned.
Let's bring it back to the Temple of Osiris.
Plans to lose the mid fight. They do. They plan to lose it so that they refresh with healthy marches, and the team that air quotes won the arc has all unhealthy marches. And this is a part of the natural flow of the matchup that's very important to understand. 93T took that understanding and they abuse it to say, actually, we just lose these mid fights, but weaken all your marches.
Oh no, Chisco.
Yeah, no, he's going. Bro, he's going.
He's zooming.
Right? 93 knows this. They abuse this knowledge to clap back even harder and then win the arc and have it moved all the way over before the other team can manage, because it wasn't a part of the opposing team's strategy to lose the arc. But it is a part of 93's strategy to lose the mid fight and then to take it here. This is what they do every time. This is how they've won so many matches.
Yeah, and because 93T had the onus, and they planned to do this. 489, they're playing scramble right now. It's like, what do? We already sent everyone to these structures. We took the desert altar, we took the sky altar, but we don't have enough marches for this mid fight. We don't have enough marches for this arc. So it's so funny. They're like, all right, I'm going to return it to the Temple of Osiris here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a spectator, I mean, you could hear the level of crisis in my voice when I saw they weren't adequately escorting the arc. It was very knowable from that first couple seconds of how the arc was being guarded that this was the most likely outcome. And that is, I don't know how 2489 recovers from this, because this was a part of the 93 game plan. This was not a part of the 2489 game plan, and now they've got a double C. You thought they were zooming before?
Double C with less than 50% health?
Look at these mobility talented tier 1s, charge talents activated, with Honda Tarakatsu secondary, double C primary.
He's actually faster than the Inf March.
As fast as the tier 5s, bro. They are gone.
He's faster than the Inf March.
They're gone. See you later. And kiss that arc goodbye. 93T. Stealing victory from the jaws of defeat in an arc brawl. Every single time you can count on them to do this, and they just deliver.
And they hit, and they have 4 altars. I mean 3 altars rather. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know how they do this every match, but
well, I can tell you how they have the 3 altars. It's because now 2489 had to scramble to get the arc, and scrambling is always leaving you vulnerable, and so they lose structures. I mean, it's just like, that's what happens. It's crazy to just see, like, I mean, if you're a 93, you couldn't have dreamed this up any better. Like, this is exactly, look, I'm not a 93. I don't actually know, but I am 99% confident that they exactly planned it to go exactly how this is unfolded.
The purposeful lose mid first, win mid later.
Yeah.
Strat.
Yes. That's their strategy, man. That's what they do. Every time. This is what they do. Wow. There it is. The arc. Safe and sound between the cities. That is brutal. So they win the structure game, they win the arc game, and that is going to be a problem. I thought they were going to score the arc, but they didn't. They are taking it between the cities. There it is. So, it's a little precarious where you put this thing. You never want it too close to the obelisk in case your obelisk is empty or they do a big assault. They could take the arc, score the arc in your own obelisk after taking your obelisk. So you can always score the arc in a city. So a very common, inexperienced player mistake is to hold that arc next to the ob. That's a big mistake that may not bite you today. It may not bite you tomorrow, but against a competent opponent, it could cause big problems.
Yeah. Some of the most interesting and hype arc caps are those obelisk captures.
Those moments, baby. Oh, I took the arc from you at your own building, took your building, and scored at it. Thank you for holding it for me. That is like the extreme backfire of holding the arc, the worst case.
Yeah, but 93T, I'm sure they're experienced enough to know that that is a possibility. So I think holding this first arc is so important for the team that holds it, because you essentially have onus. You have control of the tempo of the game. You could score the arc whenever you want, whenever your team's ready. And then from there, just start planning the 8-minute rotation of like, okay, we're going to start pushing at 8 minutes. We're going to refresh at 4, or refresh at 5 or 6, and then go mid. It's just so much pressure. Where 489, this whole game, feels, to me, Chisco, it feels like they've been playing reactive. It feels like they've been playing straight into 93T's plan, because 93T, they've been able to just take control of where they need to take control, and 489, instead of enacting their own game plan, has just been following whatever and reacting to whatever 93T has been doing this match.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the concerning signal was when they were losing their obelisks.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is kind of like a big red flag of something's not working that should be.
Yeah, just put a march in there. Everyone has garrison commanders, so usually in a normal Osiris League, it's like, oh, you know, the garrison commander, whatever, like, maybe whoever was nearby didn't have a garrison commander, but everyone has access to all the commanders here.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. On that line, it's also kind of funny that, and this is why I think it's so purposeful that 93 lost the mid fight. I mean, either they were completely outskilled in mid, or they lost intentionally, because the commanders are all even here, right?
Yeah.
So like either they were dramatically outskilled in mid, because that was a beating that they took.
Yeah.
Or
the sad face train.
It was their plan. And I think it was their plan. I really do. I do. I think that was the game plan all along. It's always been this
the meta.
plan.
Lose first, win later.
Yeah, bro. You know, you get all your marches reset, you come back with freshies, and they're at half. It's a moment of extreme vulnerability for the victor of the arc, simply due to the amount of time it takes to walk anywhere and get refreshed troops. Especially, by the way, especially because they took out the obelisks earlier, and that part of their plan really makes a lot more sense in this context, doesn't it? They hinder the enemy's mobility, and then they punish them for that lack of mobility of their troops and decreased refresh capability by stealing the arc right after they've won it. Brutal. It's actually pretty significant the way the pieces of the puzzle all come together there.
Yeah. Both teams,
what do you say?
Both teams having some teleports.
That's what they did. They got them, baby. So now they hold the arc, right? And the question is, if they're holding the arc, does this become a 2-arc game, Plato?
I think it might be. There's just so much variance with arc that 93T doesn't even have to play with, right? They've been winning the structure game. They've had 3 altars for most of this match. So why risk it? You could just win off the less arcs there are, the more valuable structure game is, right? Because it makes the points that you gain from structures more valuable because there's less points from arcs. So from there, if they're winning if they're winning structure game, there's no point of inflating the arc scores. So yeah, I think it might be a 2-arc game at this point, Jessica. Like they could safely just make it a 2-arc game. And yeah, it's so interesting seeing 93T just do their thing. As you said, the initial obelisk captures for sure was a blunder. But yeah, everything they've been doing, I would even say the outpost captures was intentional to throw off 489's, I guess, internal clock here for the game, where they had to commit some troops to capture these outposts, making them a bit later for mid-fight, but then they sent a lot of troops. It's just like there's a lot of things they did in the opening that 489 had to respond to. And they just, I guess, predicted the response where they lost that mid-fight, as you said, purposefully, and then just sent people in the outer lane. Like, I think the biggest thing was this desert altar, right? The 489 desert altar. 93T was swarming it down. They had a rally. So it looked like they're committing to that desert altar. But little did 489 know that there were marches going into the outer lane, and then they were able to take that arc. So it's all about deceiving and not letting your opponents know exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I also wonder, by the way, they scored the arc.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the value of controlling the sort of pace of the game is that when you're winning, you generate less ability points. Those ability points are very powerful. So by delaying the arc significantly, they force 2489 to either burn a couple points if they even have an ability to do that with, and hope they regen again by the mid-fight, or to conserve them for the mid-fight. And most teams are so busy, they just conserve them for the mid-fight and then they sort of cap on their ability points, which is 10 max that you can have. So
Yeah.
I wonder if a part of the strategy is to kind of make your enemy cap on those ability points when you hold the arc like this. I think that could be a part of their plan, but they're winning 2-1 here. 15,000 to 7,000 and 7,500, right? So it's like a 2-1 margin of points for 1093. What does 2489 need to do to flip this match around?
I mean, they definitely have to win the next arc. They definitely need to win this next arc.
I think they need to win 2 arcs, actually.
Yeah.
So I think they need to win this next arc, and then they need to immediately score it, and then win the one after that, while
The Drago
simultaneously not having a bad building game.
The Drago strat, it's possible. That could be the way in.
Yeah, so master strategy to bring the arc back and score it is totally a way to go. If you're low on time and you have complete field control, that is totally possible.
Right.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. The timer is just so low though, Chisco. Like the arc is going to spawn in 6 minutes, which would make it around 22 minutes when the arc spawns.
Yeah, they got time for 2 arcs. If they rush,
if they insta capture it, but
yeah,
I think 93T 93T is definitely in the driver's position here because they know that that's their only way back into the match.
That's
so
right.
If they just go straight mid, focus mid, everyone mid, then it's going to be tough for 489.
I actually think if you're 93, you have such a lead in points that you've opened up the possibility that you skip the mid fight and just go structures for the final arc. And that really puts 2489 in a pickle because they have to choose, do we undercommit to the arc or do we commit fully to the arc, right? Like it basically lets 93T ask a question.
Scaled it down.
Where there is a wrong answer possible for 2489. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. The more decisions that 93T force upon 489, the better position that they're in, for sure.
Yeah. Like 93T has options, whereas like the plan of 2489 is really clear. They have to win the arc. And that again leaves them the opportunity to do something unexpected and just not go for arc, win the building points, and then offset the arc points by enough that like, GG, that's it. This is a very, very dangerous position for 2489.
I was taken by 93T. I was taken by 489 here.
Love to see it.
I wonder if that.
I think it holds less of a significance now than it did before.
Than earlier, yeah.
We've already got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 people ported in on this side, so
the map is looking rather red though. It's looking three altars rather.
Yeah.
That they're doing the right thing here for this comeback.
Yes.
What do you think of Liu Che, Chisco? I'm seeing a lot of Liu Che out in the open field, and you usually don't really see
he's amazing.
Infantry. Liu Che and my KVK has been killing it. Like it's been crazy this March.
I bet. Yeah, no, smite damage. I had quite an extreme reaction to the value of smite damage when I first saw about it. So I think that Liu Che does some pretty significant stuff in Arc, particularly the area of effect march speed manipulation is quite meaningful.
Oh my gosh. It's so strong, Chisco. Like I don't think you've been in a KVK with Liu Che, but
no.
once you have, I'm telling you, man, it's a game changer.
Okay. Wow. Dude, it is funny. Chat's like, oh no, Chisco called it. He knew they were gonna do this with the arc. The 12-minute delay is really, really funny. Oh man.
I think they did allow so others can spectate the match in game with a 12-minute delay.
Yeah, I think they're testing that now.
So
hopefully, if y'all are spectating in game, you're enjoying it as well. Although I'd like to think that our commentary adds some color and excitement to the matchup, don't you think, Plato?
Yeah,
Let me just pat
hopefully
myself on the back real quick. Hold on. Let me just run the risk of breaking my arm. 1 sec. Yeah, this is exciting, and I think that a comeback is possible for 2489, but the next 5 minutes will really determine if that will be something they can accomplish or not.
Yeah, I'm looking all over the map. There's no provisioners from either side, so that will not be a factor. It'll all be down to structures and arcs. So there's no provisioning from either side here, so that will not be like a sudden 2K jump in points at the end that we sometimes see. That won't be a factor in this match.
Oh, yes, that's right. I always remember there's something we need to talk about. That's the significance of the equipment, is that provisioning is really, really negatively impacted. You miss out on so much gathering speed from the equipment that provisioning really becomes far less significant, especially with fog. You're right. I bet you when we look at the provisioning scores at the end, can I see some? I don't want to look now. We got too much to do. When we see the provisioning scores at the end, I bet you we will see they're very low for both teams compared to typical arc.
Yeah, I actually don't see any provisioners, Chisco. Like, I was looking around, I don't see any provisioners.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's correct to not provision.
Yeah, I mean, if you have all the same marches and the other team has more marches than you, the math says the other team should win. So,
right.
But here we go. 49 looking like they're going straight into the murder ball of 93T. Let's see how this goes out. 93T to the death by 49-2. So both using 10 points to the death, and I think total vision. So 10 points for both mids, and it looks like they're both committing to this mid fight here.
Okay, so looks like 93T is basically trying to run it.
Oh, sad face.
They're just running it back, bro. They're like, hey, we got him the first time. Dude, can you imagine their voice? Hey, we got him the first time. You think we just get him the second time too? And they're like, yeah, let's just do it again.
I will say, though, the sad face train from 93T.
Choo-choo. Look at all those sad faces. See you later.
Oh, my gosh.
No, dude, they're 93T. Look, as they say in Lord of the Rings, a wizard arrives precisely when they intend. Never early, never late. 93T, they take their sad faces. All the 2489 marches are now half health, and they're going to run
There's
back
no way.
the same play, bro.
You think it's going to happen again, Jiskel?
They're going to run back the same play. It's what 93 does. Oh, no. Look, they're all leaving. There's a few people staying this time. This looks like a proper entourage over here. Oh, good.
Yeah, there you go. And they're going straight to outposts as well.
Yeah, they have to just score this immediately. No. I don't know if this is an entourage. I don't know if this is an escort.
Oh.
I think this might be. Oh, no. They're peeling off. No. You're not safe. You're so not safe.
I mean, I will say, though, going to the outpost in this situation instead of going to the side, going to the side lane, there's more of an opportunity for 1093 to cut you off.
I guess.
But you're going directly parallel to the lines of 93T in the same direction. So
I don't know if there's ever a good reason to go to an outpost. They're just too risky. So here's the problem with outposts, chat. Okay, the problem with an outpost is it has 500,000 capacity. That's not even 2 marches. So to get the arc march into there, you have to have only 1 march of troops in there, which leaves it really vulnerable to getting swarmed. So they're moving this arc.
This Jones so slow. This Jones so slow, Chisco.
I don't know, man. I'm just
I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening. There's no way.
But look at the rest of the map. Like,
oh, 4 altars. Okay.
Yep. they did what I said they would do, which is like fake mid and then take everything else. I actually kind of said that they would just ignore mid, so that's not exactly how I envisioned the play, but like,
nah, just take credit for it.
Take the dub. I predicted this. Yes, no, please. Why stop escorting him? You're so close. Just wait the 30 seconds. Watch the arc get scored. In this case, they are correct. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a scout. In this case, they are correct, but they don't know that. Like, we know that because we have vision of both sides. They did not know that this arc was safe, bro. They had no clue this arc was safe. Well, sometimes you get lucky. And boom, arc scored. So they're doing exactly what we kind of said they would have to do. And 93 is taking advantage of exactly what I said they would take advantage of. The fact that they could go either way, and it means that 2489 either has to gamble on the arc and send less and run the risk of losing it, or they have to protect their buildings. And when you actually do a little bit of game theory on this one and think through the possibility space, it's actually quite obvious that this is the way it would go. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that if 2489 didn't win this first arc, there's no way they could even contest the second arc. So 2489 was obligated to commit to middle. And so 93T understood that commitment. And so they said, well, we don't have to have that same commitment for this arc. We can go to the sides. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like, if 2489 didn't win this first arc, the game's over. So they had to commit to middle. 93T saw that, they took the sides and said, all right, see you later, guys. And that's the value of the point advantage. That's what it let them do. They could see. It's
definitely like this even playing field, just go. It's all about trading is so much more important. You can't just like, oh, I'll hold this and then hopefully we could win something else. Knowing your opponents, and I think they definitely were like, instead of, oh, how could we lose? They're like, how can our opponents win? And let's think of our opponents. Let's think as if we are our opponents. What are they thinking? How can we win if we were our opponents? It's like, oh, mid fight, hold structures. So there were two objectives that they had to do.
Yeah.
So they took away one. And that's exactly what you were saying. So I completely agree.
And this brings up the terminology of like playing to win versus playing to not lose.
Yeah.
Playing to not lose was sending to the middle like they did. I think in this instance, playing to win for them, even though they had to get that arc, would have been still committing more to their defenses on the side.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they kind of need to shoot the moon. They need a lot of things to go right. So I think they needed to undercommit, or at least commit less to that arc, so that they didn't find themselves in this situation losing all their buildings. Because in 93, all they need is incremental point advantage, and the remaining arcs don't matter. All you have to do is win by one, right? So
as you said, they have gained a pretty big advantage. 7K, I believe, is a difference right now, and that's not the difference of an arc. That's 489. They could win the arc, but they won't win the match at this point.
Right. I mean, before the arc spawned in, 93 was winning by about 8,000. And now after the arc's been captured, they're still winning by like 7,000. So this is a huge problem for 89, because now there's not enough arcs left to make the difference. Or is there? There? Let's actually think this through. So we have 5 minutes. No, I don't think there is. I don't think there is. 5 minutes left. That'll put it at 11:40. Okay, then you have to walk the arc, which takes 2 minutes. Well, okay, so let's actually just finish the math. So that will put it at 9:40.
Oh man,
this could be done.
This
could be done. Yeah, this could be done. So then it's 8.5 minutes, right, for the arc to spawn, or is it 8 minutes?
Yeah, I think it's 8.
It's 8. Okay, if it's 8 minutes, then you have just enough time to pick up the arc and have Master Strategist cast and score it. So it is achievable.
Oh,
it can be done. It can be done. 100% it can be done. There is still a way. There's a path. And you have to play to win. So these guys need to make sacrifices, but make this a reality. They need to play to win, which is going to be Master Strategist on the last arc. That's what it is. You could also Master Strategist this arc, but I think you're better off being maybe unpredictable and going for that on the next one.
Yeah. I think Master Strategizing, if you are doing it on the last arc, maybe
you have to like count on your enemy thinking the arc cannot be scored
done
again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But like we all know that 93 knows that the Master Strategy is a play. So I don't think we're gonna see such a choice made. personally.
I see heavy commitment from 489 to this mid fight, as you were talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of troops.
Yeah, I mean, they're just.
I mean, you have to capture it as fast as possible, right? So I guess it's such a tough position.
They're in a very tough position. If they commit too much to the middle, and 93T commits to the buildings, then they lose guaranteed. So they have a problem here. So they need to commit the least amount possible to the middle that they think they can still win with, and as much as they can to the buildings. Because if 93 goes for buildings like they did last time, then they need that defense, and they'll still win the arc. But now if 93 changes things up and they put more people on the arc, then they've got a huge problem in 2489. You can see why it's so powerful to have the point advantage. It's all about tempo. It's all about tempo. Yeah. Well,
controlling
it's not
where your
only
opponent's
tempo, but now you control what your enemy must do. And when you know what your opponent is doing, it doesn't matter if there's fog or not. You have a pretty good idea of what they're up to. And
meanwhile, your opponent for 49, they don't know how many troops they should put where.
Right.
They don't know how many troops 93T are putting towards this desert altar, or how many troops are putting towards mid.
Right. Like if we play with the visual range really quickly, this is what the team in blue sees. And here's what the team in red sees. Right? So you could guess what they're up to, but like you don't really know. And certainly you don't have this vision of like everything when I have, both set to the view.
For sure.
So the ability to control what your opponent must do is so ridiculously valuable.
Yeah, and it's amplified by fog, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree, Chisco. So yeah, I guess that makes early advantages just even more powerful with this Raging Sands game mode. I'm playing with fog, and making it an ally where you can predict opponents, rather than the opponents predicting you.
Right, because this wasn't a thing you could do in the pre-fog world. You could see what your enemy was doing. You knew if they were committing to mid or not, and you could match it. So you can't do that anymore, which gives the early lead a big deal. There's Dust Up. Scuff Tigers, Heaven's Grace.
The thing is, Chisco, if they want to capture 2 arcs here on 49, they can't use any skills. If they want to use master strategies, they can't use any skills.
They need to have... Well, they can use skills, but they need to have 5 recovered in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah. So... I don't know what you do here. I think
they just got to do what they got to do to win this arc and hope they'll have enough points for the final one, Like, it just is what it is.
Hope for the best. But
they gotta get that dub.
It looks like the one mid fight they win is this last one, which is, as you said, they're a Wizards Never Late or whatever. Never really watched Lord of the Rings. But 93T, knowing when they're needed in this mid fight. Although there are some sad faces. There is a bit of a sad face train from 93T now.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like they're committing to mid bigger than they have other times. I think that this is the instance where 2489 committed more to the buildings than they did previously. And
3.
It might cost them the arc, but they got to take risks. I mean, they're not in a position to be risk-free, right? They have to take risks.
Yeah.
So I would applaud them committing less to mid while holding buildings, if that ends up being what happens, because that's what they needed to do. Like, it really is. They lose for sure if they lose all the buildings and they lose the arc. So they needed to commit less. And this really looks like they did commit less. I think they are still going to get the win. But the clock is really ticking here. They need to run this arc very, very, very quickly and score it immediately.
That Joan of Arc got to put his shoes on, his running shoes.
Yeah, but...
Go.
XY. Boom. Got him.
Exploded.
Got him. So all 93 needs to do now is just kind of knock down the carrier a bunch of times.
Yeah, just delay.
Yeah.
Delay, cap. And we know how good they are at capping arc. So...
I mean, I would really like to see this game come down to a master strategist teleport for the last arc.
Please.
I actually can't imagine a more exciting final play. So I would actually hope that 2489 scores this arc in enough time for that to be a possibility.
So let's see the walk time here.
Yeah, like
Oh,
I
wait,
want
they
to
captured,
be
they
clear
captured
that
the
I am neutral
outpost,
as
though.
an observer to the game, but as a spectator, the most exciting spectating will be if this came down to a master
it's
strategist
down.
last arc.
Oh no, the arc carrier is down.
Yes, it's an issue. The clock is ticking, but I think we're still in the window of viability. So
Yeah, we're still
it
there.
can still happen, but they really need to stop these guys from getting to the carriers.
Oh, master strategies.
No, wait, no.
Then they can't capture the next arc, though.
No,
That's the thing.
what are they doing? Maybe this is the right play.
Oh, wait. If they kill the arc carrier, the arc's gonna stay. If they kill the arc carrier, the arc's gonna stay.
They're out. They're out. I'm out. See you later.
No
Cap it.
7K units left on that arc. That was so close to their whole murder ball just leaving the arc on the table. Yeah. But they were able to capture that arc. Wow.
True.
Oh, I mean, they might not.
Master strategist was not probably necessary.
It's so risky.
It was pretty risky.
Goodness.
Wow. Living dangerously. 2489. The problem is that there's no more arcs. So like, I don't know that it was necessary to master strategist there. The problem is they don't have any buildings. I think they're kind of GG'd here, quite frankly.
Hey, well, that gives us a highlight of the match. That is
a highlight, all right.
That was insane. I was about to say the riskiest thing about using master strategies while trying to carry the arc is if your arc carrier dies and it teleports all the units around the arc away.
Yeah, you're gonna lose.
Your opponent is just with the arc scot-free. So that 7K, those 7K units came clutch.
Yeah, that almost was really bad. Wow. I mean, the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, oh, that could actually have been a catastrophe. Also a catastrophe for 2489 is the fact that they basically own no buildings but the obs. That's just a big GG here. It's game over territory.
Yeah,
points per minute. It's going to be out of control as soon as they start all ticking. 670 to 70. So 600 points per minute of advantage.
It's so interesting, Chisco, that everyone has the garrison commander marches, but I think I've seen more double C garrison leads in this game than I've seen all of Ark of Osiris. So it's it's pretty interesting. Now we see the gen in this desert altar, which is what I was looking at. But it's so interesting where you have all the commanders in the game. People are choosing these March speed oriented commanders. Joan primary, for example. You don't really see Joan primary in KVK, but because of that support tree, just allowing that movement speed, making you walk that much faster. Yeah, it's really interesting to see how both teams are using these marches, and what they're using, because in the future, maybe these commanders could be used in your ARC games.
They are using a lot of XY. I hadn't even noticed that both teams are actually maybe running a lot of cav marches more than they normally would.
Yeah. I've also seen 2 infantry marches because of Liu Che.
Right.
So it's like, oh, wow. I guess infantry is good in Arc now? Or seeing Guan. Yeah, you have to bring out the Guan for the AoE silence. That's for sure.
It looks like there's only one archer march people are using. And that's Zhuge Liang. Maybe
Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang with Boudica is what I'm seeing here.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Zhuge primary. Usually you see the Boudica primary, but
yeah.
Zhuge primary.
Let's theorycraft. Why do you think Zhuge Liang primary? Is it because, I don't know, get the skill damage out first, and then if you die before the second proc? I don't know.
The Zhuge primary is to apply his debuff. Massive damage dealt reduction.
Yeah, damage dealt reduction. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and I think the logic there is that, okay, so Boudica makes the target take more skill damage, but that's only one target.
One target. Yeah.
If I can make 5 targets, get racked,
Yeah,
I go for the
okay, that makes
5
sense.
as the accelerated active skill. I mean, we're talking about a 2-second acceleration, but it's an acceleration nonetheless.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. That march, that combination is just so good. Open field, you could use either primary, and you could use it chaining. I've been barb chaining in my KVK with Zuge Liang Boudica. So they have the versatility tree, so you could get the minus 10% action point recovery or action point
my
usage
gosh.
for
This guy.
It's just as good as as good as a peacekeeper.
I don't know if there's a player in the game who's done more barb chaining than you, Plato. I'll give you the credit where credit's due, man.
Hey man, top 30 in this KVK with 960-ish
And
GB
you're
77.
doing it off of chaining, which is nutty.
And we're trying our best as a low spender gang. Let's even though I bought all the Conqueror's Wills and Mountain Warfares.
He says he's in the low spender crew while maxing his technology. All right, bro.
No, you gotta play like a low spender and spend like a spender so that you can be the mega
true.
whale.
That's true. Get that value, baby.
Yes, sir. Performance to go here. 7K point differential, no arcs. Well, there's gonna be one arc with 1 minute and a bit, but there's no master strategies. Do you think 1093 is gonna pull a 60 GT and just kind of flex on them, use master strategies to capture the arc, or?
I think that would be funny and unnecessary, but funny nonetheless. They are going to middle. So I think it's possible they go for it. It's a question of whether or not they have it on the bar, but...
Oh, look at this T1 double C Renin. What's the pair here? It's double C with Honda. Oh, very speedy.
That is a speedy combo for sure. Nice.
So what are your thoughts of this match, Cisco? Like, how did it come to this point?
Well, I think to talk about how we got here is pretty straightforward. 93T did honestly what I feel was extremely predictable. They won the arc after the arc was lost. That's what they do. I mean, and it's predictable to us perhaps because we have been casting these matches all season. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see Ark of Osiris League casting as the events happen. But we've been casting here on the official Rise of Kingdoms channel all season long, and we've seen 93T do the same thing all season long. And after they get the first arc, they force their enemy to have to make bad choices by virtue of either going more for buildings or going more for arc and taking bigger risks. And they sort of translate that advantage of controlling what their opponent must do into a landslide victory, and that's what they've done here. Yeah. Like as I said, I think tempo really does play a part of making your opponents make tough decisions. If you play to your opponent's game plan, then usually you'll lose. So just making sure that you make your opponent say, okay, what should we do here? Should we do this? Should we do that? And there's going to be a lapse. There's going to be a couple seconds of hesitation at least when opponents have to think and change up their game plan. So I definitely think 93T does that super, super well. And their side, they already have these situations, I think, programmed to their head. It's like, okay, if this happens, we're going to do this. If this happens, we're going to do that. And just thinking of a response for everything. But yeah, I think this is going to be a very, very interesting matchup that we got going on here. For the next round? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It'll be for who is the best team in the game. And I actually feel like 93 benefits the most because I would say compared to some of the other teams that are here, they have, I think, in their main accounts, relatively weaker accounts than their opponents typically. And here they're even. So it's hugely advantage for them. And that's not a criticism of 93T account strength. They've got plenty of like really strong accounts, but what I'm trying to say is that historically they've got, I think, less of that.
By the way, sorry, this is the slowest double C I've seen in my life.
Where are you looking?
the mid fight, the arc
Oh,
just spawned. Double C is crawling. What is going on
They
here?
forgot to put some talents on there. Oh, they got tier 5s. That's what it is.
Oh my god! Look at the T1 next to him. Compared, he's running circles around this guy.
Yeah, it's quite awkward. I mean, so they got the arc, they're running it, but even with tier 1s, they were not going to get to that outpost in time.
5.
They really needed
3.
to have a clean carry for that last arc, and then a master strategist for this one, I think.
Yeah. Yep. GG's.
Big GG's. Sham with the MVP from 1093. However, final score. Provisions. 570 for Scuffed Tigers. And a shocking amount of provisions here for 2489. They're at 1,800. Usually you see that reversed, where 93 is the one who's done the overwhelming majority of the provisioning compared to their opponent. And in terms of kills, I mean, brutal. I mean, 93T just really delivered the heat, man. Any thoughts as we wrap up today's matchup?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. 93T just showing that in this grand finals, you really, really need to take onus. You really, really need to have a good opening so that you can control the pace and from there control the actions of your opponents, especially with the fog, and make the fog work for you. So
make the fog work for you.
Exactly.
The Osiris League Grand Finals, baby. We will be back next week for the next round. Let me actually, you know what, Plato? Let's go see who they're playing. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to put myself back on the screen here and back out of this matchup, and let's just see who are we spectating.
Oh my goodness. 60 GT won by 74K to 3K on the other side.
Well,
so
that's a bit of a yikes. Okay, so next time, 60 GT versus 93T. Which alliance is superior? Subscribe to the channel to find out. Toss a like on the stream if you haven't already. And as always, both Plato and myself have channels where we make videos and live stream our KVK gameplay. You can check that out in the description of this video. Until next time, my friends, you have fun smashing the kingdom, and we'll see you next week for the Osiris League Grand Finals final matches. See you there.